very smooth, was it? How would you characterize Adams' administration from 96 to 1800?
Incapable.
What's that?
Incapable.
Incapable of what? He was capable of many things.
War.
Okay, capable of war or incapable of war?
Incapable.
Okay, was this a good thing or a bad thing? Okay, if you're a... Who wanted war during Adams' administration? What political party?
Federalists.
The Federalists. Wait a minute. Adams was a Federalist, but he didn't support war. Wasn't that kind of political suicide?
Yeah.
Okay. So right then and there, you know that he's going to run up against some bad things. What else happened during those 4 years that was controversial? Alien and Sedition Acts. Okay? Basically, acts passed that were political weapons. Okay, designed to put down the opposition party. Very, very dangerous. Very, very much against the Bill of Rights. Okay? So when it came right down to it, okay, the Adams administration and stuff like that was shakily coming into the election. However, he did have some support. Or John, what do you notice? Anything? Okay. Jefferson does have more votes. Substantially so?
No.
No. Okay. Mr. Panchito, what do you see?
There are less votes for John Adams.
Stay put your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Okay, yes there is. Okay.
The southern states were more for Jefferson.
Okay, do we see, can we align these political parties by region? Yeah, so if we're going to take a look at the Jeffersonians and Democratic Republicans, where does his support come from? South, and then the West. Okay, where was the Federalists generally located?
New England.
Okay, New England up in here. What else does somebody notice?
Inland areas support.
What's that?
Inland areas support.
We have territories. We have added new land. Okay, as a result of like the land ordinances and the Northwest ordinance, things like that. What else? Carl, five.
The inland areas support Jefferson, and the coastal supports Adams.
If you look at these, we see split states. Why do the coastal areas support Adams?
Because he's a Federalist and they historically supported trade, I guess, commerce.
Okay, so here I am. I am a stereotypical Federalist. Describe me.
Money.
I'm a merchant, a
Aristocrat.
banker. I'm aristocratic. What else?
Pro-war.
Pro-war all the time?
Pro-national debt.
Okay. Pro-conservative fiscal Hamilton policies. Okay, what else? Who would I support foreign?
British.
England. Okay, what else? Located closer to the coast. Okay, things like that. Right? What about it? I'm a Jeffersonian, Democratic Republican.
Farmer.
Farmer, what kind of farmer? Like dirt poor farmer?
Yeah.
Plantation.
Yeoman farmers. Okay, agrarian societies, people with land and power and things like that. However, we think not more like a what? Average
Plantation.
guy. Okay, what else?
Supports France.
Supports France. Okay, tend to come more from the south and the west and things like that. So that's what you'd be looking at. Now, Jefferson becomes president right away, correct?
No.
There's a problem with this election. What is it? There's a burr under Jefferson's saddle. There was a flaw in the way the Constitution was written, okay, and the way that the electoral votes were counted and tallied. Okay, as a representative, if we go back to, let's say, here. Okay, Tennessee. Tennessee had three electors. Those three gentlemen from Tennessee, okay, they're Democratic Republicans because it's a green state. They get to cast their votes, right? So they have 2 votes that they can use. So they're Democratic Republicans, so they can use 1 vote for Jefferson. They're going to use the other vote for
Burr.
Burr.
Yeah.
Okay? And so they're going to count them up, count them up, count them up. However, they agreed. Okay? Who was supposed to be the president? Jefferson. Who's going to be the vice president? Burr. Okay? Why does Jefferson pick Burr? New York. That was his political power base. So it was a marriage of convenience. Okay? So this is where Burr's stronghold is. He carries New York. Without New York, who becomes president?
Adams.
Okay? Adams. Right? Except, so they had this whole idea. So when the electors are going to cast their vote, one of them is going to abstain and not vote for Burr. That means that Jefferson becomes president. Except that they screw up and everybody votes. And it's a what? It's a tie. So in a case of a tie, who decides the election? The House of Representatives. Now, who's going to be vice president?
Burr.
Aaron Burr. So of course Burr immediately steps forward and says, yes, I'm supposed to be the VP. Mr. Jefferson takes the election. What does he do?
I'll be president. Yeah. Uh-huh.
He starts to think, wait a minute, I could do what?
I can be president.
I could be president. Nobody wants to be vice president. Okay, even as early as 1800, okay, a lot of people are saying, this is like the worst job in the United States. Okay? So then Burr does nothing. So what has to happen then is the House of Representatives has to decide. Now, you're a Federalist. You have to vote for either Burr, who's a Democratic Republican, or Thomas Jefferson, who's a Democratic Republican. Who do you hate? Jefferson. Because he's like the opposite of everything that you've been standing for the last dozen years or so. So you're mad and you're vindictive. So you start to vote for who? Burr. But it's tied. And it's tied, and it's tied, and it's tied, and it's tied. Okay? Finally, people are getting sick of this. Okay, Burr's not backing down. Jefferson's not backing down. Comes to about the 35th round. By this time frame, Alexander Hamilton behind the scenes has been writing letters and talking to people saying, you know what? I really don't like Thomas Jefferson, but I really don't trust Aaron Burr. And basically he puts an onus on Burr's character. A couple of the delegates that were Federalists are going to abstain. Who becomes president? Jefferson. Can you imagine the relationship between Mr. Jefferson and Mr. Burr after that? Oh, Burr is right. Okay, definitely frosty. Okay, definitely frosty. That was another pun. You guys are slow on the uptake today. Okay, what is the 12th Amendment?
The presidents can choose their running mate for vice president.
Okay, and there's going to be two separate ballots in it. Okay, one for the ballots are going to then determine so there's no like mix-up that there was before. Okay. The election of 1800 has often been referred to as the Revolution of 1800. Okay, was there a bloody revolution?
No.
Was there a change in power? Yes. So we have a different group of people with different goals who are going to come in. Okay, did heads roll?
Yes.
No. There were no head rolling. Okay, and things like that. Put it in the quotes in here, I think it was out of the book, a triumph of the common citizen over the aristocratic classes. Okay, and in a lot of ways that about sums it up. This election was more about, I guess, the common man and things like that, okay, than it was the powers of the Eastern Seaboard.
Who said this? Like so the person say this?
I don't remember where I got it. I didn't say it, everybody said quotes.
Alright.
Okay, when Jefferson comes in, does he make wholesale changes? Sweeping changes? Does he make some?
Yes.
Yeah, any president when they come in is going to have an agenda, right? They have to have some things that, as far as their campaign promises that they're going to keep. Which one did President Obama recently keep? Troops out of Iraq by the end of this year. Okay, some of the things that Jefferson is going to do away with. Okay, he looks at the excise tax on whiskey. He's like, nope, I didn't agree with that. Okay, and he helps get it repealed. Now, Why this particular one?
Because to his farmer friends.
Exactly. What is he doing here? He's solidifying his political base. Okay, the people out on the frontier, who are they? They're his people. Who does he want to make happy? His people. Okay, and that's what politics is all about. And Jefferson was a consummate politician. During Adams' administration, Adams really beefs up the size of the what?
Navy.
The Navy. Okay, sometimes cited as being the father of the modern Navy. Okay, he builds large frigates and things like that. We spent a lot of money trying to build ships of the line because of the phony war with France. Jefferson takes over. He's like, it's a bad idea. We're spending too much money on the military. And he has a large distrust of standing armies. Why?
What happened in the Revolutionary War? How everyone just the standing armies ended up being tension with the militia and things went bad.
Okay, what can large standing armies do?
They can be headed by someone to take over the government.
Exactly. Okay, if we look back in history, large standing armies then become a tool of who? Dictators, tyrants, and things like that. So Jefferson's like, no. A large military is basically a threat to freedom and independence and liberty. Okay. He also wants to reduce the national debt. He gets Albert Gallatin, his Secretary of the Treasury, to address that, which is kind of ironic because Jefferson's always in debt himself personally. What was the Naturalization Act?
It reduced like the amount of time you have to live in America to become a citizen, or
He actually flipped it, increased it.
he increased
Under
it.
Adams, this was under Adams' administration. Okay, the amount of time that it became to be a U.S. citizen went from like 5 to 14 years. That's drastic, isn't it? Why would they want that?
Because the immigrants were supporting Jefferson.
Exactly. This was a political weapon. Okay, the Federalists say, wait a minute. Every newbie who's coming into the United States, coming from France or immigrating, tends to support the Jeffersonians. So let's do what? Make it harder for them to vote, so we erode their power base. Okay? Now, the question is, how does Jefferson deal with the Alien and Sedition Act? Does he attack it directly? No, he just lets it die. Okay, they have time limits and things like that on a lot of these acts. So instead of just like going after, what does he do? It's going to be dead in 6 months anyway. It'll expire. Okay, like I said, he was a very good politician. He knew when to fight and when not to. At his inauguration, he talked about we are all Republicans. We are all Federalists. What does he say? Ms. Roberts, what does he say?
He's saying that we all believe in the common cause of liberty and that those political parties shouldn't separate us.
Exactly. He's trying to mend some fences, right? He's trying to assuage some fears, okay, about this transition of power and things. Did Jefferson and Hamilton get along? Not at all. Did Jefferson think that the vast majority of Hamilton's financial plans were full of pooey? Then why does he keep them?
Because he realizes once he actually gets to be president, it's a lot harder to like actually put his ideas into action.
Exactly, and these things were actually working, and they were effective. Okay, don't try and fix it if it's not working. Yep. He's going to reaffirm Washington's policy of isolationism. Okay, to the extreme. Yes, it was. As evidenced by what? Passage of the Embargo Act, right? Okay, basically cutting off all trade with the United States and foreign nations. And then we talked about the change of regime. Okay?
With the isolationists, isn't that kind of hypocritical because didn't Jefferson go to war with the Barbary States and they surrendered?
They were a political liability. I mean, a financial liability, an economic liability.
Isn't isn't that still going
With-
toward recognizing a court a
but
tribunal?
not with, they had no power to attack the United States. The Dey of Tripoli is not going to invade the U.S., right? Whereas the Spanish or the French or the British could. So by picking that fight, it really wasn't losing big time.
Isn't that also going against the isolationist idea?
No, because you're protecting American foreign interests. Isolationism wasn't so much isolationism as it was non-entanglement, entangling alliances. Do not get involved in European affairs or you'll get screwed. Okay. Now, when the United States Supreme Court and the judicial branch were created, they were considered to be the weakest of the three branches of government. Okay? Nobody wanted to be part of it. Like people kept getting pointed like, I really don't want to do this. They met in like a used back room of the Capitol building. Okay? Even Alexander Hamilton, who helped create the three branches of government, said it was by far the weakest and the least effective. Right? Until a guy by the name of John Marshall. Now, John Adams has been defeated in the election. Right? He has to leave office. However, before him are a bunch of open positions for judges and magistrates. Okay? One of the most important and powerful things a president can do is what? Nominate people into positions. If you can nominate somebody under the Supreme Court, what kind of person are you going to nominate?
Your own
Just
party.
one.
Somebody just like
You.
me. Because then what will happen? My ideas will live for how long?
Forever.
As long as they
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Right? Okay, so what happens is the midnight judges is that Adams has all these appointments to fill. And he's filling them out, and he's filling them out. Okay, and the weeks are getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. Finally comes the time that he has to leave. And he finishes the last one that he can. And he stacks them on his desk. He then basically walks out the back door of the White House and goes home. He doesn't even say anything, doesn't go to the festivities or anything. Okay? Jefferson comes in. He's now the President of the United States. Right? James Madison is his Secretary of State. Okay? They get into the White House and they see all of these papers and they enroll them. And they're like, hey, this is an appointment to a position. Hey, look at this guy. I know him. He's a Federalist. Ew. Right? So what do we do with this paper? Throw it away. Throw it away. Now what do we do? We appoint our own who are going to be
Jefferson.
exactly. And they're going to be Republicans. Now, you are William Marbury. You had been promised a position in the United States government as a magistrate. Suddenly, your job is what? It's gone. Oh, crap. Okay? So what do?
Sue.
You sue. And who does he sue?
Madison.
James Madison, who's supposed to deliver the appointment. Now, here's John Marshall, and he's looking down the road and he's going, oh, crap. Because it's coming, right? And it's going to come before the court. Now, what's his dilemma? If he rules in favor of Marbury, everybody says,
Federalist with Federalist.
yeah, you're just a Federalist, okay? You're just supporting him. This is all politics. This is wrong. If he rules in favor of Madison,
Federalists get angry.
he's been training everybody behind him because he is Mr. Federalist. So who does he support?
No one.
No one. No one. Okay, what he does is he opens up his handy-dandy Constitution and he flips through there and he's going, Then he goes, wait a minute. Marbury's position was created by the Judiciary Act of 1789. And he opens that up and he goes, He goes back to the Constitution. He's looking through there and goes, wait a minute. Where in the Constitution does it say that Congress has the right and authority to create these type of courts? If they don't have the ability to create those type of courts, he doesn't have a job. If he doesn't have a job, he doesn't have a case. Case dismissed. Beautiful sidestep. Whoop, there they go. Okay, in one fell swoop, John Marshall increased the size or the prestige and the power of the United States Supreme Court by ruling that a congressional act was unconstitutional. Okay, this is known as judicial review, and that's very important. Judicial review is the ability to review laws to make sure that they follow the Constitution. John Marshall will continue to go on to be the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court for about the next 32 years. Okay? About 15 years longer than the Federalist Party even exists. Okay? What's that?
How long?
About 15 years plus. Where is Tripoli?
Africa.
Question about the judicial review. Wasn't that the whole idea of the Supreme Court to make, like, in the beginning, to make sure that the laws were constitutional and...
Not so much to make sure the laws, but basically initially the fact that they were supposed to be there to make sure that the other two branches didn't get out of line. But nobody had ever actually drawn a line and said, oh, you can do this, or you can do this. So what Marshall really does is critical, and the entire Marshall Court's actually very important, is they basically establish a baseline. Oh, we can do this. Oh, we can do this. Oh, we can do this. And the official line was always federal supremacy over the state powers. Okay? It's a good point, though. Okay, where is Tripoli?
Africa. Northern Africa.
Okay, North Africa, located in the current country of?
Libya.
Libya. Speaking of change of regime, okay, Muammar Gaddafi kind of got a facelift last week. Okay, now, the United States wants to trade, and we want to trade in here in the Mediterranean, right? So we take our little ships and we go, la, 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 la. We get over here. What's here? It's very narrow. It's the Straits of Gibraltar. Okay, now, in here through this narrow passage, it's a good place for who?
Pirates.
Arr, pirates.
Sparrow.
Okay, and then the pirates would attack our merchant ships, and we would go what? Okay, right? Yeah, we all the way home. So now, right? Now the United States had been paying these pirates for a dozen years to leave us alone. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we gave up our lunch money to pirates. Okay, finally though, right, we have a change of heart. There was a statement that came out during this time frame that said, not one penny for tribute, but millions for defense. By a guy by the name of the Pink King. Not one penny for tribute, but millions for defense. In other words, we'll do what? We're not going to take it anymore. We did a little Twisted Sister on it.
That's different. Never mind.
Nobody catches that reference?
I do.
Thank you. We're not going to take it. No, we're not going to take it.
Wow,
People
you
need to broaden
guys.
your culture horizons.
Go on YouTube and look it up. It's an awesome
Okay.
song.
Now, what then happened is the United States Navy, as well as a fledgling United States Marine Corps, then engaged the Barbary Coast pirates in a series of battles, finally culminating during the battle at Tripoli. Okay, we win concessions, the pirates leave us alone for a while, okay, and we're happy. What do we get out of it? The Europeans kind of look at us and say, well, you know what, you don't suck that bad. Because we're kind of like the little cousin, you know, that you like tussle his hair and say, okay, now go away, play. Okay, because nobody really took us seriously. Okay, so there's that. Also, this line comes from
Marine Corps song.
that song.
The Marine
The
Corps
Marine
song.
hymn, yes.
I know the Air Force, not the Marine.
I'm sorry.
I know the Navy one. And the Marine Corps.
Oh, that's so
Hammer.
I like hammer because I'm in Missouri.
Run.
It seems kind of unfair though. You're Marine Corps and the other guy doesn't.
All right. What is a duel?
It's
Where you shoot
a
each
fight.
other.
Where you shoot each other.
Where you shoot each other? Can you do other things? Can you stab each other?
Yes.
Why?
Honor.
Honor.
Stand up for
Right? Prestige.
Yeah.
No, you don't get money out of it. Honor. Somebody does what? Somebody offends me.
I challenge
Smell.
you.
I challenge you to a duel. Okay. Josh says something about my mother, and I go, ah! And he threw it in my stick.
Oh, it's like the gauntlet.
Yeah, it's like the gauntlet. Very good. Okay. So, right? Okay. Now.
Throw down the gauntlet.
Yeah.
When you say duel, do they mean like with guns, right?
Or knives or swords.
Oh, so it's not like with guns, it would be kind of like the Three Amigos. Like Harry
Like what?
Potter, like the Three Amigos, and they just go.
Well, that would be like later in the Old West and stuff. Basically, we're talking about single shot and cocktail. But sometimes they would stand back to back, pace, and then turn. Other times they would just stand there until given the order to basically shoot, and then boom.
What if they both die?
What's that?
Awkward
And that's happened,
silence.
yeah. Andrew Jackson fought almost 100 duels in his lifetime.
Oh, seriously? And he
He carried a bullet in him from the day he died during a duel.
What?
Okay. What?
Wait, what?
He got shot and he lived.
He got shot and he lived, yeah. Okay, so was it legal to duel?
Yes.
Most places in the north, no, it was not legal in New York, where Burr and Hamilton were at. Okay, they're going to go to an isolated piece on the Hudson, I believe, called Weehawken, New Jersey. Okay, a little bluff there, and they pulled in. The ironic thing about it, Hamilton's son had been killed there dueling, like a couple of years earlier. Believe in juju. Okay, so like that was just bad juju. He should have never done that. Okay. Now, you obviously can duel for many reasons. Whoever like basically throws down the like gauntlet and things like that. Okay, in this case, Hamilton supposedly said some things critical of Aaron Burr. Did he do those things? Yes. Okay, and it's kind of like elementary school. You said something about me. Oh yeah? Well, I'm gonna meet you in the playground at 3:00. Okay. Right, and they go out and except, like beating each other with your middens, you use big full things of lead that
Don't
kind of hurt
guys
the body.
like do that to their people? Like when they're like, oh, let's go fight for a piece of time, and like everyone goes there? Because I've heard that like happens in sports and stuff.
Wait, what's that?
That was Hamilton and Burr. They're good at fencing too.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the thing about this is we're going to mix a little bit of American culture and Hamilton and Burr lore with what was the first Got Milk commercial.
Oh.
Denied.
And that was the Vienna Wood Dancing D, one of my all-time favorites. And now let's make that random call with today's $10,000 question. It's a tough one. Who shot Alexander Hamilton in that famous duel? All right, let's go to the phones and see who's out there. Hello, for $10,000. Who shot... Excuse me? I'm afraid your time is almost up. I'm sorry, maybe next time.
So I ask you, what would or to be shot? He's evil? Aaron Burr was evil? Yes, he was. Okay? Aaron Burr's father was a president of Princeton University. While this duel was going on, Hamilton, or Burr, was vice president of the United States. Isn't that crazy? The vice president of the United States shooting someone? Hold on, Dick Cheney a couple of years ago. Can you imagine Joe Biden being strapped, basically walking down the street, gunning for somebody? That's exactly what it was.
Oh my god.
The most important thing that proves, though, that this man was evil was he was the grandson of Jonathan Edwards. Who was Jonathan Edwards? Remember Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God? That you are the vile spider being like hung over the fiery pits of hell. Can you imagine being the grandson of Jonathan Edwards. Bouncing little boy on Grandpa's knee. Let me tell you a story, boy. You're going to hell! He was traumatized. It wasn't his fault. Today, a good 21st century lawyer, he'd have been off in a second. Following Burr after he shoots Hamilton, he's going to take off. Okay, he's going to run around basically trying to elude authorities for a while who are after him. Okay, he's then going to come back and finish up his duties as Vice President of the United States.
Wait,
Okay.
authorities can't capture the vice president?
Yeah, he's running away pretty good. Okay, they didn't really know how to charge him because number one, they didn't have witnesses. The seconds when they came there, when they actually did the duel, they both turned their backs. So they bless you. Couldn't see what.
Oh.
They can honestly say, I didn't see him.
That's wrong. Wow.
Okay. So when it happens, right? Okay, when the whole thing comes down, Hamilton said that he did not want to kill Burr. And you can do what they call wasting your shot, which means you can shoot up in the air. And then your honor is satisfied. Okay? See, he shoots up in the air. Okay, but Burr says, kaboom. He blows a hole in his side, shattering his ribs. Okay, and having massive internal bleeding and things like that. After the duel, obviously in politics, he's pretty much toast. He's going to go out and get involved in a plot in the West with a man by the name of Wilkinson and the Spanish government. And in this big plot, they're trying to take the western half of the Louisiana Purchase, tear it away, give it back to Spain. Okay, then he would get part of it to basically set up his own kingdom. Okay, Jefferson hears about this, Wilkinson turns on him, and then he's brought back to Washington to stand trial, where he's found innocent. He then goes off and spends the rest of his life in relative obscurity.
Wait, didn't he try to like convince Napoleon to like come bring back the U.S.?
Yeah, he was in all kinds of schemes. Okay. Yeah, it didn't work too well for
What's
him.
the July 11th birthday?
That's the date of the.
Of the.
Yep. Fortunately for us, we actually have video from the actual duel. Okay, taken by early sports network.
Oh my god.
Here we are today in downtown Weehawken, New Jersey. I'm Brett Ross along with A.K. McClurg for EPSN Sports. Today, Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton will be facing off in our Sunday afternoon pistol dueling series. Quite a crowd here today. Nothing like little blood and violence to bring out the family on a Sunday afternoon. And here comes Aaron Burr. This is a big day for him. What do you say?
Oh, definitely. He's the man who placed the challenge, so his reputation's got a lot riding on this. And he's not exactly the rising star in politics anymore.
But not just his reputation.
Exactly. All of Princeton University's reputation's at stake, too. Burr's father was president of Princeton, and a disgrace for Burr is just as much a disgrace for Princeton University.
Booyah.
Now, a duelist has two very, very important things to remember. First, redeem your honor. Be a gentleman, and never, ever show cowardice. The second rule, most important, do not get shot.
And there's Alex Hamilton looking good.
Well, he's on a new regimen, eating lots of venison stew, high protein, and cutting out the ales.
Well, he's got a new trainer, Pilov Vansky. They say he trained Paul Revere for his big ride against the British.
Ooh. But I'll tell you, I'd be shaking in my boots right now if I was the Burr man.
Now, Burr is making his way towards the playing field. That's his second behind him, Jesse Benton. Benton's a dual veteran. This is his 19th assist. He's got a mixed record. Now Hamilton takes the field. He's been involved in 12 affairs of honor with a record of 9-3.
What Burr is to Princeton, Hamilton is to Columbia.
I understand the very mention of his name is a big help to the alumni fundraising drive.
Well, that's right, Brent. I mean, this man helped write the Constitution.
And he's quite a ladies' man.
Oh, those are just rumors. And I'd watch out if I were you, or you'll find him challenging you to a duel.
Whoa! Hey, now.
giving them the instruction.
I shall say present, after which you may fire. Are you ready, sir? Yes, I am. Are you ready? Yes, I am. Present! Oh my God, he's been shot!
Of course, it's a duel.
Oh, right. A victory for Burr, then?
Now look, remember, it's not about who shoots who, it's about honor. Burr will retire to his barge while the refs make a decision, but it's not looking good for Hamilton. Either way they go, I'm sure there'll be another opportunity for Columbia to defend its honor on the battlefield. I'd like to thank my co-host, former homicidal dueler Alexander Geek, a.k. McClure.
Thank you, Brent. Pleasure to be here. That's it from Weehawken, New Jersey. Coming up next, the International Flogging Competition. Stay tuned.
I love flogging.
You would.
All right, the other day when we were in the computer lab, we were trying to detail some of the parts of Lewis and Clark's expedition. Okay, so we're going to very, very quickly, in the next couple of minutes, try and detail some of that. Okay, we talked about how the epic voyage, heads out to Missouri, okay, the split of the crew all the way up to the Pacific and all the way back again, right? In the entire journey, how many crew members did they lose?
One.
One. How did he die? Appendicitis.
Oh!
Okay, right? Right? So, throughout this whole thing, you can think that they're very, very fortunate, okay, and stuff like that. Now, when they leave here out of St. Louis, they head up the what?
Missouri River.
Missouri River, okay? Okay, 33 guys, and they're going up the Missouri River. How do you go up the river? You paddle, push, and pull the boat up the river.
Why would you do that?
Well, okay, number one, how many of you saw the equipment list that they had? What were they taking? Literally thousands of needles and hooks and several hundred pounds of portable suit and knives and stuff. They had equipment weighing what? Hundreds and hundreds, not thousands of pounds. So the only way to do it was to try and haul it. Okay? Now they would start coming upriver and they get to spots where there were falls. Guess what they had to do? They had to pull everything off the boats, take the boats, collapse it, haul them around the falls. Put everything back together, put it in the water, and keep on. Okay, can you imagine the physical condition that they're probably in as they're going through this?
Great.
Okay, as they were coming through the Great Plains too, they started to find different animals that they'd never seen before.
Why didn't they just hook up the canoes to horses along the sides?
They didn't take horses.
Oh.
They didn't know if they could have the feed. They didn't know if they'd survive the winter. Okay. What kind of animals did they start to see out in here? Buffalo.
Grizzly bear.
Okay, grizzly bear. Okay, prairie dog. Not quite. Okay. As they came out here, they saw pronghorn antelope, elk, and things like that. Okay, and they saw them by the thousands. So here they are. They're expending all this energy. So they started shooting all these animals. The average meat intake a day for the members of the Corps of Discovery, 9 pounds.
That sounds delicious.
Can you imagine that? 9 pounds.
It's a lot of work.
No, exactly, and stuff like that as they went through there and stuff. Okay. Okay, we're going to run out of time here real quick. What were the goals? There are 4 main goals of Lewis and Clark.
Get a map of the area.
Okay, map. Okay, did they create excellent maps of the area? Yes, they went where no American, no Europeans had basically ever been before.
Scientific observations.
Scientific observation, they send back literally hundreds of specimens back to Jefferson. Okay, for observation, things that had never been seen before. Things like, okay, prairie dogs and stuff. What else?
Create Indian relations.
They want to create Indian relations. Okay, Jefferson had this vision of creating mass networks of friendly native tribes who would openly trade with the United States. We'd all have this one big symbiotic relationship. Did it work?
No.
Not exactly. Okay, what was the last big thing that they were looking for?
Oh,
A route to the west.
A route to the west, the Northwest Passage, a water route to the Pacific Ocean. Okay, so were two of these successes?
Yeah.
Which two?
Math.
Maths and scientific, the failures,
Indian relations.
and the Northwest Passage. Okay, what were some of those preconceived notions?
Unicorns.
The unicorn.
Narwhal.
6 foot tall beaver.
Can you imagine like a 7 foot tall beaver? That would be like thump, thump. Woolly mammoths, 7 foot
Friendly
tall,
woolly
Welsh-speaking
mammoths.
blue-eyed Indians,
Yeah.
volcanoes erupting and things like that. Okay, kind of crazy stuff. All right, we will wrap this up tomorrow. Okay.
You're really so